Welcome back to Briggs on Books, our international talk show where we talk to authors and people in the publishing and editing and printing industry that can help you get your book out. And also, we talk to authors, people who've actually got it done, who wrote a book, finished writing a book, and actually got it published. What an amazing thing. What a long road it is to get there. In fact, our next author has done that a few times. Sean O'Leary. Welcome, Sean.
Hi, Mike. Thank you very much for having me on.
Now, where are you? That's quite a beautiful sight behind you.
I'm in Salt Lake City, and this is one of our national parks in southern Utah.
There's several national parks in Utah, I believe.
Yes, it's a pretty area. Great place to go hiking.
Most of our viewers, most people I talk to about Utah, the only time I visited Utah is I landed at the airport and got off the plane and onto another plane. So it's really fun to fly into Salt Lake City, but I'd like to see the area.
It's a lot of fun activities to do in the area.
Now you have, I don't know what order we should go, but you have several books out and more coming out. Here's one of them, Princess and Scruffy. Tell us about that.
Princess and Scruffy is about a squirrel, and you know squirrels run up and down trees and along telephone wires.
Yes.
But Scruffy has a little bit of a problem. He's afraid of heights.
Okay.
So he stays mostly on the ground until he makes friends with Princess, who's a cardinal. And Princess and Scruffy become friends, and she helps him overcome his fear of heights and climbing. And they become really good friends. Go ahead.
I'm guessing it's a children's book.
It's a children's book,
okay.
Yes.
And
talks a lot about making friends, understanding what it means to be a friend and to have a friend, and to help other people overcome challenges that they may have in their lives.
You can count on your friends.
Absolutely.
Now, how long has this book been out?
Princess and Scruffy has been out for a year, although I wrote it a long time ago.
And I didn't neglected to ask you, is that your first book?
It's the second book that I've published.
Okay.
Yeah. So the first one was The Road of Blood.
Oh, yeah. And I'm going to put that book cover up because another intriguing book cover, not written for children, I guess.
No. In 2000, I traveled to Germany with my grandmother, and I wanted to go back to see the town where she grew up in and meet some family that I'd never met before. And while we were there, one of the things I wanted to do was to go to a concentration camp. And I did not anticipate how deeply visiting that was going to affect me. And I really couldn't talk to anyone about it for several years. But I was thinking about it the whole time. And when I finally got to the point where I could and wanted to talk about it, it came out as a photo essay. And that's how this was, The Road of Blood was born. The Road of Blood is the name of the road that leads up to this particular concentration camp, which is called Buchenwald. And it was on display first at the University of Utah in their main gallery, and then later put together as a book.
And so the book is a photo book?
It's a photo book. It's available. It's been available for about 4 years. That was the first book that I published, and it was a self-published book. It's now published under a publisher.
Yeah, I'm going to get that book. That's fascinating that you got to do that. And did you go with your grandmother?
I did.
Yeah.
We were there for about 2 weeks, and it was a great trip. Learned a lot. I don't speak German. She does. So she was my translator the whole time.
That is amazing. What an amazing story. I'm glad you got to do that with your grandmother. And I hear you're not done writing. You have another one coming out?
Right. The next book to come out is called Dan Tesson. It's my first full-length novel. It will be out on March 5th.
On March 5th. Now, it looks like it might have something to do with politics or government.
It's a fantasy book. It does deal with politics a little bit. It's really more about social issues. Do you want me to tell you a little bit about the storyline?
Don't spoil it, but yes, please.
So Dan is he works for a large industrial military kind of company. He's an engineer, and he does a lot of writing about political issues, gets him into trouble He talks about something that the government is going to do that he disagrees with. I don't think it's too big to let out. They're going to release a virus that winds up killing about 2/3 of the people on the planet. And Dan, in the process of this, realizes that he has some special powers that no one else has. In fact, he can't find the limits of these powers. And one of the things that I wanted to explore with this book was, everyone says that power corrupts, and ultimate power corrupts ultimately. Well, I wanted to know what would happen if a good person had unlimited power. Would they become corrupted? Would they be able to save the world and fix all of our problems, or would they just be part of the problem? So it's a fun book. It's kind of testing the boundaries.
Yeah, it's a great approach. I like the whole approach. And it sounds like it could be believable, like, hey, this could happen.
I wrote it kind of tongue-in-cheek, but I tried to make it as believable as possible. I actually spent about 16 years writing the book. And
16 years, wow.
It was something that I thought about and talked about with friends and family for a long time, and kind of worked out the bugs too.
I tell you, Sean, we have so many people who are writing books. So many of our viewers are aspiring authors, and I'm glad to hear you worked on it for 16 years and you got it out. So many people have these books and they worked on them forever, and it just seems like hopeless to finish them and get them out and get them published. So good for you. Do you know when this book will be out? Let me put that cover up again. Dan Tesson.
Dan Tesson will be out on March 5th.
That's amazing. Now, by the way, Sean, I have on the screen your web address, author. My eyesight's shot. Oh, there, I can see it. AuthorSeanO'Leary.com. What would our viewers find there?
There are some trailers to the books that tell you a little bit about the books, and kind of keep track of where I'm going to be. I've gone around mostly Utah to do signings, and so there'll be information about that and any upcoming events that we have.
Yeah. Will there be any sneak peeks into the Road to Blood, the Road of Blood?
I think we're working on a video clip to talk about that a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I just can't wait to see some of those photos. I'm gonna get that book first, and then I'm gonna get Dan Tesson, because I love those kinds of stories. But I want to see these photos in the Road to Blood. Before we go, I want to go back to Princess and Scruffy, the children's book. I just want to say to our viewers, you got kids. I'm sure they'd love this book, but your kids have friends, and your kids are going to go to friends' birthday parties. Don't order one of these books. Order 5 of these and send them with your kids when they go to birthday parties and stuff. And also, we've had people suggesting lately that for kids' books, buy them for grandma, too, because they go to grandma's house and grandma will read them to them, and that's a lot of fun. So thank you, Sean. Any last thoughts? Anything else you want our viewers to know?
I just want to tell you a little bit more about Dan Tesson.
Okay.
Dan Tesson is kind of a modern retelling of Dante's Inferno, with a little bit of a twist. And if you look at Dan Tesson, if you break the words up, it actually is Dante's son.
Dante's son.
So it's kind of a fun play on that.
Yeah, that is amazing.
I made friends many years ago with Carl Hennigan, who owns Icon Global Publishing, and I really have to give credit to him for encouraging me to finish Dan Tesson and get it out there. And he's been a wonderful help, and I've really loved working with their staff. So.
Yeah, 16 years. What a great story. Yes. And we'll have you back when that book comes out, Sean.
Sounds great. Thanks, Mike. It's been wonderful.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on the show from Salt Lake. Did you say Salt Lake or Utah? Or
Salt Lake, Utah.
Salt Lake, Utah. All right. Thank you, Dan. And for our viewers, don't go anywhere. We'll be back right after this. By the way, go to AuthorSeanO'Leary.com. AuthorSeanO'Leary.com. Find out more about Sean. We'll be right back.